What's going on, New Canoe Nation? Woo! Welcome. Happy December. For those of you in the north like myself, I hope you are staying warm. It's a balmy 20 degrees here in northern Illinois. So I figured we warm ourselves up a little bit and talk to one of our California guys, Mr. Cody Morgan, in the house. Do me a favor, go down in that lower left-hand corner if you're watching on the old Facebook. Smash that share button. Those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in as always. We got any announcements? I don't think so. I know some of the 2022 models are starting to ship to dealers. So if you don't have a boat on order, get one ordered up. And as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, things like that, drop them in the comment section down below. I see Mr. Blaine Upton is tuning in. Says, "What's up, New Nation?" Mr. Upton was on a previous podcast. You guys could always go back and watch that on YouTube, Facebook, catch it on all the major podcast platforms as well. Just search New Canoes Unlimited. Mr. Upton in a tournament this past weekend had a PB, just giant bass in the middle of a tournament. So congrats on that, my friend. Just a slaunch of a bass. So let's get Mr. Morgan in the house. Cody, my friend, how you doing, my friend?
Good, guys. Everything's good. Sorry to hear about that 20-degree weather out there, but
yeah, I'm sure you're playing the world's smallest violin for me right now, too, right? I mean,
yeah.
you guys, we were talking right before this started. You guys actually got some rain today, and it's looking like the rest of the week you guys are going to get some rain too, which is something I definitely want to dive into with you because we're going to talk some California bass fishing, and I know you guys have been in like a drought, and it's just kind of dramatically changed the landscape out there as far as fishing goes and bodies of water and things like that. But let's get a little background on you, man. We do it with all our guests. How'd you get into fishing, kayak fishing, and how'd you find New Canoe, man?
Sure. So I've been fishing since I was a little kid. Started up in Northern California, Lake Shasta, with my dad, Rodney. Mostly fishing for trout when I started when I was younger. So
Nice.
that's where it all really started. But about 2016, 2017 is where I caught a Greg Blanchard video on YouTube and went out and got a cheap kayak from Dick's Sporting Goods and rigged it all up and went crazy with it. And then during that time, I kind of noticed the New Canoe flints and stuff like that. So I was able to pick one up from a buddy who had one. So I got into a flint. I was in that for a long time, had that thing super rigged out. It was a beautiful tournament setup for a New Canoe flint. And then pretty much, through social media and stuff like that, clicked up with Ramel, and that's kind of where everything snowballed from there. And then here we are today, got my New Canoe Unlimited. I'm doing the bass fishing thing. I love it. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Speaking of the wizard himself is in the house. He said, "Oh yeah, West Coast, my dude Cody."
That's right. That's right.
I love it. I love it. No, that's cool, man. So you were in the Flint for a while, and then you just got into the Unlimited.
So I was in the Flint. That was like my second kayak, but my first real, platform, and was able to stand up and do all that good stuff. So that was my first real kind of experience with like a tournament setup and something I could get into. That I got that in 2017, and then I just got the Unlimited earlier this year, right when it came out. So I was one of the lucky ones. Got one of the first loads.
Nice. I love it. What do you like the most? Like switching from the Flint to the Unlimited? Like, what's the biggest thing on the new boat that you like over the Flint?
The overall size, and like I'm a hoarder for gear and stuff like that. Like Romel's all about making his boat sleek and like lightweight. I'm like, whatever I can get to load on there, I take all my boxes, everything like that. So I'm fully loaded like all the time. But just being able to like have all that stuff and the gear pod and everything like that, and just kind of like evolving my fishing setup to the
Sure.
unlimited. That's kind of everything about it. Basically, is everything that I like about it. So it just works out perfect for how I like to fish and what I'm doing while I'm out there fishing.
So I got to ask you this because I'm a gear hoarder when I'm out fishing, especially in tournaments too, right? So you load up your boat with all these gear, all this gear, all these rods. How much of it do you actually use?
I, well, it depends. If the fishing is slow, I'll use damn near all of it. But if
Okay.
it's like if I get on a good bite, it's like 30% of
Yeah.
whatever I take out there. Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, I need this in there. What if they switch to this bite? Like gonna need
Yeah.
this. I'm gonna need this rod, and I end up using like 20% of it.
Yeah. Very rarely do I go out with like less than 7 rods. I'm always like I just have everything there just in case. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I dig it, man. What's cool, man, and I've been talking about this on a few podcasts lately. California has got like such this huge kayak scene, man, and I feel like uh, there's a divide, like the Rocky Mountains set California apart from like the rest of the country, man, and I think so many people don't realize like how big the California scene is, not only for bass fishing but for saltwater fishing too, and things like that, man. Like it's just so huge. I know you guys, like, as far as like, the Hobie series, the Bass
Mhm.
Nation, and all that stuff, like California, the West Coast kind of gets overlooked.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I think it should get way more attention, but I know you guys have a couple really big series out there, like what is it, Wild West Bass,
Wild West. Yeah.
Yakka
American Bass.
Bass.
Yeah,
eh,
Yaga Bass is huge. They kind of
eh,
like laid the groundwork for a lot of the California bass kayak scene. So
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, watching Greg's videos and stuff, you kind of like always knew about them, and then like was able to go up and fish one of the tournaments up there, and it's a little different than what we see down here in SoCal. There's even like a divide from like NorCal and SoCal guys, but it's starting to really click up and get everybody's getting together, everybody's fishing each other's tournament scenes and series, and it's really cool to see that since if we're not getting the notoriety or whatever you want to call it from these other scenes and stuff like that from like you said on the other side of the Rockies,
sure.
that we've like developed our own thing out here, and it's really become a like a cult deal out here, man.
Right.
Every time I go out to the lake, there's more and more kayak fishermen out there. It's really really taken off, even since like 3 years ago, where it was like, oh man, you're fishing on your kayak. Everybody's like, now those same guys have their own, and they're doing the same thing that I was doing a few years ago. They're just getting going.
That's cool. That's cool, man. So is there a particular like trail series that you focus on out there, or are you kind of hitting them all up?
So the tournament scene for me it's slowed down a little bit. I was a big KBF guy when they would do, I would try to hit all their tournaments they would have out here, or as many as I could.
Hmm.
But the SoCal kayak anglers, those are the guys that I fish with the most. And I just, it's right down. Most of them are down in San Diego, so I get to stick somewhat local. There's a couple hour road trip for me to head down there and fish with those boys and see what those San Diego fisheries offer, which is some pretty good fish.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
Well, I saw because I've been looking at tournament schedules as they've been coming out and stuff like that, and it looks like KBF put a couple events not only in California but on that West Coast in general. I think they got Arizona, Colorado, and
yeah.
Utah or something on the docket for this 2022 season, right?
Yeah, I think they had done that the year previous, but not this the COVID stricken year. It was different this year, but years previous there was like certain events, a couple, I forget how many it was, but there was one here, one there, and they were all sprinkled throughout California, Utah, and Colorado were a few of them, and I thought that was the coolest way that they did it. So to see them, bring that kind of structure back to it, I like it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I totally agree, man. It's I was telling a friend of mine, that we're talking. another new canoe teammate, Jimmy Skinner, we were talking about like, plans for this upcoming season and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I love going to Colorado. And I'm like, dude, I'd love to hit that Colorado event. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But like I told him, I'm like, I'd love to hit a Cali event, but that's like a week ordeal because it's like 2 days driving out, 2 days
Yeah.
driving back. But I probably I could probably call in a few favors and just take an airplane ride and borrow somebody's boat.
Yeah,
Well,
I think there's there's a couple people that might be able to give you a hand out here for sure.
yeah. No, it's super cool, man. It's super cool. And that's the thing too. Like, how many guys do you guys average per event down in SoCal?
It depends sometimes. So what they'll do occasionally is they'll have an open, and then they'll have like a membership drive and stuff like that, where you'll see a few more members and a few more non-members, people who want to get into it, kind of jump in on those. But it's typically right around 50 to 60 guys for
Okay.
the SoCal kayak anglers. There's a couple other series. I think they were limited to 50 last year because it was their first year doing it. But you got like the Bass guys are I think they were limitless, or they were up to like 150 guys for some of those bigger ones. They were getting crazy numbers, which is, I think that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know Bass has always got crazy numbers. Like they usually average right around 100 plus. It seems
Yeah.
like, dude, which is phenomenal. I mean, and that's the thing too, right? Like that's what's always driven me nuts is like I said, like California doesn't get the attention it deserves. I think
Yep.
as far as like the bass fishing tournament scene, and they got like astounding numbers where you could look at some events out here in the East that like don't even draw as close to that
Yeah.
amount of anglers. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, I don't know. It's goofy to me, dude.
The limits too. If you look at the limits of as far as fish caught or inches, like
Oh yeah,
you'd
it's
be
not.
like so shocked. Like I'll look at some of those East Coasters and I'm like, man, these guys are getting through with like 12, 13, 14-inch fish on a limit. Where out here, guys, it's like average is 17, 18, and then your kicker's like a 22-inch. That's like a huge jump in fish size.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. I mean, you guys. I mean, other than what, Texas and Florida, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the three main states, California, Texas, Florida, for like just giant bass, you know?
yeah, no, for sure. And I keep seeing Danny Reeve keeps posting all these pictures of these big fish and saying how easy it was to catch them because he's in Texas now. It's like, come on, man, we're still over here struggling. I'm struggling at his old home lake, and it's like, man, they're big, but gosh, it takes forever to catch them. He's just chucking wine, and he's just getting them every cast.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, I know when I talked to him a few months back and he was talking about being in Texas, he's like, I haven't caught this many fish over 10 pounds in my life. Like, he's like, it's just been nuts, you know? And I'm like, again, world's
Yep.
smallest violin, bro. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's awful news, Danny. Awful.
Yeah. So what's like your home body of water? What's your like go-to lake out there, man?
So Lake Paris is the one that I go to. It's the best opportunity to, you know, there's world class fish in there. You just gotta do the work and gotta trick them to get it. I mean, I've caught a couple of 7-pounders out of there that were really really nice fish. It's just you got to do the right thing at the right time. That's why winter, hopefully coming up, I'll be able to get one on a HUD, a big old 8-inch HUD, and see if I can get a double this year.
You guys like those big old swim baits out there, man.
It's a thing, man. I'm yet to catch like a something worth writing home about fish with the swim bait, but there's something about throwing it out there and just knowing that you could get the bite
Just
of a lifetime. Yeah,
chomp,
it's
dude.
awesome. Yeah.
We got Tony Moore chiming in on Facebook. He said 100 plus in NorCal Bass Nation at Clear Lake last May, 140 plus.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, that
Dude,
Clear Lake
that's
event was outstanding. They had like 4 different tournaments, something like that, all like going together, commingling and everything. There was ton of money that was won out there too.
Yeah, I know a couple guys that have been fishing some of those events out there, man, that are just raking in the dough, man. Like, and that's the thing
Yeah.
too, right? You look at prize money, and I'm not ragging on the East Coast, all right, guys. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a scene in California, and it's huge, and I think a lot of people don't realize it. Like, some of the payouts you guys have had are like Alex Cox. I think he won what, like 10, 15 grand in a Bass Nation event. I
Yeah,
think it was.
I think it was like 14 or something like that
Yeah.
because he was in two tournaments and he won in both sections of them, and it's the opportunities there to take home some good prize money if you're fishing good.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So, I mean, what's your go-to, as far as it's tournament day, um, what are you hucking out of the boat, man? What's your go-to bait?
I'm a jig guy.
All right. All
I've
right.
got a lot of faith in the jig. I fish it like different ways for whatever it may be, but I feel like the good fish are always willing to eat a jig, and all my best bites, even on good days, bad days, whatever, always come on a jig, and that's something that I just have the utmost confidence in.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
You a black and blue guy or green pumpkin?
Out here, the waters are clear, so we're able to throw, some of that natural tone stuff. The green pumpkins. I mean, I've caught a few good ones on that. The browns and stuff like that. One of the local lakes, it's like 10 minutes from me. Sometimes gets a little blown out and stuff like that. That's where I've caught them with the black and blue. But out here,
Okay.
man, they're on the natural colors for sure.
I dig it. I dig it. What's your favorite jig, man? Like, as far as like manufacturer goes, like what kind of jigs you throwing?
Dirty jigs
Okay.
with the X-Zone craw trailer, something like that.
Okay.
I like heavy jigs, so I like to throw like a 5/8 or a 3/4, something like that. Really get the good feel for the bottom, and then when they thump it, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure, man. I remember fishing an event down in Tennessee, dude, and I was fishing some current, dude, and I normally like to throw like a half ounce, three
Mhm.
eighths, and like with the current, I just couldn't connect with the bottom, so I started throwing like 3/4, 1 ounce jigs, dude, and I was like, why
Mhm.
have I waited this long to do this? Like,
Yeah, for real. Like
that,
it just intensifies everything.
yeah, for sure, totally agree with that. What kind of rod and reel setup you running?
So for my jig setup for that, I'm running a Dobbin 744 jig rod special.
Okay.
It's the Champion series, and then I just got a Shimano Curado on there.
All right, all right. Is that a
Yeah.
heavy or a medium heavy?
They say it's heavy, but it has like a nice soft tip on there, so you're able to keep them on there when you have like a real heavy jig, so you don't have to worry about unloading the rod. But at the
Okay.
same time, it's got the backbone like the hook set. I've never missed a fish with that rod. If
Okay.
they've bitten that jig and I've set the hook, I haven't missed them.
Yeah, so they're kinda similar, 744, right? So it's a 7.4 rod, and then the 4 is the weight, correct?
The four is like the power, I guess they call
Yeah,
it, or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, I fish Douglas rods, and they're kinda the same setup, like, they'll have the 744F, which is like a medium heavy, or do they consider that a heavy? I forget, and then the F is for, like, a fast action tip, so
Sure. Yeah.
I dig it, man. I dig it. I like that 7.4, 7.6 range when I'm throwing jigs, dude. You got a little
Yeah,
bit
for
more
sure.
backbone when you're going to set the hook into them for sure.
Yeah, definitely need that.
Nice, dude. Nice. So, I mean, we're talking bass fishing tournaments. Like, what's your schedule looking up like for the coming year? And like, so this is another question too. Do you guys like shut down in like the winter months, or are you guys still going strong? Because obviously up here we're walking on water these days.
Yeah. So, um, I mean, for a California guy, when you say shut down, like, yeah, the bite, it definitely slows down without a doubt. It goes, you know, um, from X amount of bites a day to one or two if you're lucky, or it depends on where and what you're fishing.
Sure.
But the lakes definitely turn over, so we still have fish that go out deep. Your best bet is definitely offshore. but it does slow down and it gets kind of like to be a grind. But for some reason, I like fishing in the cold. I just feel like it makes me slow down a little bit more, which is always something that I struggle with. I just have to slow down. So being cold out, knowing that it's cold, I'm cold, it's just a natural thing to just slow down and, dance a worm around and throw the big bait and just wait for those bites.
Well, cold to you guys is like what, 65 degrees or something? I'm kidding.
That's
I'm kidding.
that's funny. Yeah, no, what it doesn't get like obviously it doesn't get that cold, but like I think the coldest I had this previous year was like 36 degrees out on the
Okay.
water.
So that
So
gets pretty
that
chilly.
was it was it's not the nicest thing, but it's not zero or below, so can't complain too much.
So we got Romel chiming in. He said first tourneys of the year are usually in February in Cali. Does that sound about
Yeah,
right? Is that like
yeah,
kind of
that's
when your
the
pre-spawns kind of kicking in, stuff like that?
it all depends on what the water's going to do for this winter. If we get a lot of rain, I'd say we're in pretty good shape. But the spawn kind of kicks in like when March hits. That's when the spawn really
Yeah.
kicks off good for California. So March is definitely a good month. February definitely starts us off for tourneys out here in Cali, all up and down. So that's what it's looking like. I haven't had a chance to dial in my schedule yet. I
Sure.
got I'm expecting baby number 2 in
Yeah, I
late
saw
March and
that.
April. So we're kind of rolling with the punches with that and see how that goes, and then we'll be able to figure out. I'll try to get a 1 or 2 in before that happens because afterwards, going to be handcuffed for a while.
No, I saw that, man. Congratulations, man. That's
Appreciate it.
super cool.
Appreciate it.
Super
Yeah.
cool. Because you got one daughter already, correct?
Yep. I have a 5-year-old, and she'll be turning 6 in May. And then, like I said, late March and April, we're expecting daughter number 2.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just wait, because my daughter will be 18 tomorrow. So,
Oh,
you know,
hey, well, fantastic. Tell her I said happy birthday. That's a
we'll
good
do.
one.
We'll do.
18. My
Yeah, yeah. I trust me, I'm not that old, folks. I started young. So
gosh.
Tony Moore chiming in. He said Shasta is February 5th and 6th.
That's going to
So
be a great tournament.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's a lake I always hear great things about.
I think
Roma
I'm not sure if it's still, I think it's the largest man made reservoir in California. It's
Okay.
absolutely gigantic. Shasta is amazing. Yeah.
I've always heard good things about Shasta, Clear Lake, and what was the other one? Dude, there's like three of well, obviously the Delta, right? Everybody talks about the
Sure.
Delta,
Yeah.
but
Romel can speak to the Delta for sure. Greg
yeah,
Blanchard, those guys are all the time. Yeah, I think those are the big ones for sure. Clear Lake, obviously, I think got voted #1 bass fishery last year in the by Bass, right, in the magazines
yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
like district or whatever. But Shasta is good, but you're looking at if you can get lucky, there's double-digit largies in there, but there's a huge population of spotted bass out at that lake. You got some big ones in there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys grow some big spots, man.
Yeah,
Big
definitely.
spots, which are just fun to catch. And here's another thing I wanted to chat with you about too, because Romel says put that EPS powered unlimited to work. You're running the new EPS system, man. Like how are you liking that?
Yeah, sure. So I think I was one of the first guys to have that kind of set up on the unlimited. Um, it's been absolutely amazing. I had a regular like a trolling motor conversion that I had on my Flint, and I thought that was cool, right? So
Sure.
when Ramel kind of hooked me up with Newport and told me what they're all about and how that motor was gonna uh, work with the unlimited, I was I was ready to go. I couldn't wait to have it on there, and oh my gosh, man, I was like, okay, now I got to set this up. It took me like one trip outside, so like maybe an hour to do it
Yeah.
at home the way I wanted to. It was set up, and the longest thing was waiting for it to show up and to get the parts and the quick connect
Yep.
for the transom. That was the part that it was like I was dying waiting for that stuff to get here. But oh my god, man, there's something to be said about efficiency and ease of use on the water That thing is super simple, easy. You got your display, you can read. I think I had mine at 80%, and I'm like 4.7 miles an hour. And like I said, I don't hold back when it comes to gear. So
That's
I'm fully
ripping.
loaded, and I'm in a headwind and stuff like that, and I'm 4.5, 4.7 miles an hour, no problem.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to putting the Newport on the back of my Unlimited as well. It's my first tournament of the year. I think I'm going to fish that bass event down on Lake Fork in Texas, and
Wonderful.
I'm super stoked about that EPS, dude. It's just well, the Newport motor, and for those of you watching and tuning in and listening later, we did a full episode on just like the Newports, the Newport motor with Romel, and during the show, I think it took him like 42 minutes. He pulled the motor out of the box and set it up on an Unlimited in the Newport office while we were live doing the show. So it's that easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Romel has rigged up a few boats in his day, but I mean, if it takes him 45 minutes, it may take the average Joe hour and a half, and it's super easy, like you're saying, like, with that new quick connect, motor mount and everything, dude, it's easy as can be. So,
You just gotta like place the removable bracket where you want it on the motor shaft. And
yep.
it just plugs in with the aircraft pin, and you click it into the like the release cord or your retract cord, and that's basically it. You just dial in how you're plugging it into your battery, and you're good to go. I mean, that thing is the true meaning of plug and play is right there with the EPS system for sure.
Heck yeah, man. So battery, what kind of battery are you running?
I've always ran Bioeno batteries, so in
My
talking
man.
with Ramel, trying to figure out what the best option was for me to get the most out of it, because I had issues in the past with having the wrong setup and stuff like that, and the batteries kind of didn't work. So ever since I've had Bioeno with my old motor and with this new one, 24 volt, 40 amp hour,
Okay.
never had any issues. I ran on tournament day, still had plenty of juice left to go, and then um, it's it's small. I mean, the 40 amp, it's not huge. I'm able to put it in a regular size battery box and just put it right behind my seat. And I'm good to
Nice.
go, man. I don't have this big old bulky thing. It's too heavy or anything like that. Give me an imbalance, but I love the ease of it, man. I just plug it in to charge, hook her back up to the motor, and we're good to go.
How far do you think you've run on like just a single charge on that battery?
I'd say easily like 6 miles or so.
Okay.
I've seen guys that were tracking, doing upriver, downriver, and stuff like that. They're talking crazy numbers, like 8, 9, 11 mile runs on that same battery, and I think that's just outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, super efficient that motor.
I went a little overboard. I got I got 200 amp hours that I'm gonna run in series. So
Okay,
we're
that's
gonna
hey.
we're gonna do some miles, bro.
Yeah, I would say so. You're looking to plug away at a lot more water than I am for sure. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
When you're limited on time, like pre-fishing, like I just go, man. I just go. Just
Yeah, you
cover
won't have to
ground,
worry about
cover ground.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm super stoked, man. Well, I know we're kind of winding down here, but like one thing I wanted to touch on, because you mentioned it, like you guys got some rain coming in and stuff like that. Like you guys have had like a serious drought. So like California lakes have like completely changed, completely almost like where you guys are. You said it's a 40-year all-time low as far as
No,
like
they're
water
seeing
levels.
like, yeah, they haven't seen water levels low like this like in 40 years. I don't know
Okay.
about records, but um, parts of shafts are exposed. Like for the NorCal guys, they know about it. Little tunnels and stuff that they used to build the dam that they left, underneath the water is starting to like come back up. We've got ramps and stuff that are not accessible by regular boats because nobody can launch. They're just not long enough. Water levels at Paris are down they were down all year, and now they just like continually get lower and lower every time I go there. It's a few more feet lower, and I'm seeing stuff and trees that I saw that were in the water are 60 yards up the bank now and stuff like that. It's just a crazy amount of loss that we're seeing as far as water. And yeah, I think most guys have probably seen some of the pictures from Folsom where it's just like the whole thing is just starting to cave in on itself. It's sad, but at the same time, like we could just get some rain, we'll be in a lot better shape for sure.
Yeah, Tony Moore is commenting, and he says Shasta was at 25% last week. That's
That's
just nuts,
brutal.
man. So, like, has that changed the dynamic of the fishing? I know I asked you this already, but we're gonna act like I didn't ask you this already before we started. But has that changed the dynamic of the fishing? Are like fish like clumped up in certain areas now? They still kind of spread out? Like how has it affected the fishing?
So um, I was out last week. I tried to do a little bit of a shallow bite. It's not there. They're not shallow. They're not schooled up deep yet either. So I don't know if it's a water temperature thing. We're waiting for the lake to like completely turn over. We still have some suspending fish out there. I saw them on the bottom, but no crazy schools like what I've seen in the past. So I think they're all kind of getting reacclimated to what you know offshore deep water structure looks like to them because they're so used to being a little closer where it was 50 feet last year. That's now out where it was like 150 feet last time. So we're seeing a little difference in what they're relating to as far as the structure for the colder water, and like I said, waiting for the water to turn over completely and see what we can end up with.
Right on, dude. It's wild. It's wild, man. Like I was telling you, I've seen some of like the Greg Blanchard videos out there, guys that I'm friends with on like Facebook and Instagram, like some of the photos they've posted, and it's just unreal. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of like Lake Mead out by Vegas, like I remember as a kid going there, and then I was there 3 years ago roughly, and like remembering where the water level was as a kid, like right at the top of the Hoover Dam, and now it's like
Yeah,
60, 70 feet below that. It's just insane, dude.
that's
Insane.
a good place that you can tell too, because the sheer walls at that place, you
Oh
can
yeah.
literally see like each water
Yeah.
line where it's been for a certain amount of years where it's sat, and then you go there and you're like, oh my gosh, man, like parts of the rocks that haven't been exposed in years.
Yeah, dude.
It's
It's crazy. I know I remember seeing a video on YouTube, and it was a couple years old, but like I think it was a news station out there, kind of like you were talking about the old tunnels and stuff that they dug. And, it's the same thing out on Lake Mead, I guess, like, they had some scuba divers go down, and they could get to these
mm,
areas where, like, a town was or something when they were building the Hoover Dam and stuff. Dude, it's wild. I'm a big, like, nut, uh, on that.
yeah, I love that stuff too, man. It's crazy. And then like you said, when you watch a Greg Blanchard video, and I mean, everybody watches Greg's videos, but you watch a video where you saw the same stuff last year, and you're like, oh my god, like I saw him fishing these areas last year, and now it's way over there,
Yeah,
completely been bone dry for months, and it's crazy to see how much it's changed everywhere for us out here in the California West Coast.
it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So, Mike Archer is tuning in. He said, "Don't forget to ask the question." And I trust me, I wasn't going to forget. It was on the tip of my tongue. So, Cody, I ask every guest before we wrap up. You got a Frontier 12. It's rigged up tandem. You can go fishing with anyone dead or alive for a day. Who's it going to be?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Um, I'd have a couple people in mind that I would go with. If we're talking like a pro fisherman or something like that, I've met Brent Ayler a couple times over here at Lake Paris. Really,
Okay.
really cool dude. If we're talking just go out fishing, having fun time, I'd take Brent Ayler with me and show him what it's all about on the kayak, and I'm sure he'd love it. And if we're talking sentimental, then I'd probably have to take out my dad for sure. Just go out and go fish.
Nice, dude. I like it. I like it. See, you're smart about that. Like a lot of guys are like, I don't know. I like both of those answers. Those are great, great, great answers, man. Very good, man. Well, Cody, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you taking the time away from the family tonight to sit down, chat about New Canoe, fishing in California. A lot of great subjects we covered tonight, man. Congrats again on the new baby coming. Get those tournaments
Thank
in
you.
before it comes. Get as much fishing in as possible. Mama, I'm sorry, but my man needs to fish before you handcuff him. Like he said, you said it, not me. But any final thoughts, words, shout outs, anything like that, my friend?
No, man, just I mean, keep looking at the New Canoe stuff because it's like every time we turn around, we got something new, great coming out. And the stuff just, like I said, there's something to be said about efficiency on the water. A lot of the new products are helping you get right there and get you on the water, keep you upright. I know that's an important one for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it, man. Shout out New Canoe, everybody over there, Blake, Ramel, those guys for keeping the faith in me and letting me rock it out here on the West Coast for sure. Not a ton of us, but I'm happy to be one of the few. So we're just gonna keep going. Alex held it down for us out here on the West Coast last year for sure.
Heck
He
yeah, man.
definitely got the New Canoe and West Coasters a little bit of the spotlight. So
Heck
that's
yeah.
cool.
Heck yeah. Everybody tuning in, if you tuned in late, you could always go back, rewatch on Facebook, YouTube. As soon as we wrap up here, I upload it to all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Just search New Canoes Unlimited. And Cody, my friend, thank you so much. Look forward to catching up with you in the future. Everybody out there, we will see you next week, Tuesday evening, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and 5 o'clock out on the West Coast. Till next time, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddling. Peace.